What's going on, Sooner Nation? There's been some updates on the recruiting trail, and you're seeing multiple offensive linemen that either are committed to Oklahoma or guys that Oklahoma is chasing after, where you see their stock rising, not to mention specific offensive line coach that coaches for the University of Oklahoma. His stock is about to absolutely skyrocket here in, about a month or two? About a month and a half? Before we dive into it, guys, you know the drill. Make sure you pull up, hit that like, hit the subscribe button. You guys know we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Would love for you guys to be a part of the community here. Additionally, if you have not already, you guys need to join the discussion. Jump down in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. Realistically, how many five-star offensive linemen does Oklahoma land in the 2025 recruiting cycle? Because it appears they might be in position to get at least 2, maybe 3. We're going to talk about it. And I think the first place that we have to start out with is the new Rivals 5-star, Tai Haywood. Now, Tai Haywood, if you technically look at the rankings, On3 has him as the number 11th player in the country, which would make him a 5-star technically, but for some reason they only have 4 stars next to his name. He's got the 5th star with Rivals being the number 16th ranked player in the country. ESPN has him ranked as the 101st ranked player, and 247 has him at 60, and I think we should be seeing a 247 update here in a little bit. Tai Haywood has been a guy that you've heard his name thrown around quite a bit when it comes around with Oklahoma. We talked about top-tier offensive line talent that could commit to Oklahoma. We talk about the Michael Fasusis of the world, but we haven't talked a whole lot about Tai Haywood, a guy that's visited Oklahoma like 3 or 4 times, maybe more if those visits aren't actually logged in the database, but 3 to 4 times. He's been to A&M a couple times, been to Texas a couple times, recently actually been to Texas and Texas A&M for their junior days, and then he was at Texas Tech on the 4th of last year in March. So Tai Haywood out of Denton Ryan is a guy that Oklahoma probably should feel a little bit confident about their chances. One, you recruit that area really well. I mean, Billy Bowman's from that high school. Not to mention, we talked about at the beginning of the video, you heard me talk about Bill Bedenbaugh stock rising. Last year, he put in Anton Harrison in the first round. Put Wanye Morris with the Chiefs. Both had a significant impact with the teams that they played for. Now you see potentially Tyler Guyton going in the first round. And if Tyler Guyton goes in the first round, you imagine recruits, which I'll tell you this, recruits know Bill Bedenbaugh is that dude when it comes to developing on the offensive line. There's a reason why Walter Rouse ended up at Oklahoma versus Nebraska. NIL was a huge part of it. The development piece is huge too, especially if you're a tenured offensive lineman in the transfer portal and you know you'd only have maybe 1 or 2 years left. You know Bill Bedenbaugh can kind of help shape and mold you. And if you get that stamp of approval, you're probably getting drafted. I mean, there's a good chance we see 4 or 5 offensive linemen drafted this year? You got Tyler Guyton, Andrew Rame, Walter Rouse, McCabe Tower. Not sure Caleb Schaefer is going to get drafted, but for sure, I think those 4 all could get drafted. Some of them might be later rounds, but the stamp's there, right? Bill Bedenbaugh is going to put those guys in the league. So Tai Haywood knows this. Obviously, you've heard that Oklahoma sits in a good spot. And I mean, hey, if you're like me, you feel good, right? If Oklahoma is in, or at least it appears they're in a good spot, then you and I, hey, you feel good about what Bill Bedenbaugh is doing on the recruiting trail. Because shifting gears and looking at Michael Fasusi, and I'm going to leave this graphic up here because I don't have one for Michael Fasusi. But looking at Michael Fasusi, a guy who, I mean, let's be honest, he should be an industry 5-star across the board. He's number 11 with 247 Sports. So right in front of Tai Haywood. ESPN, he's number 10. 247 is number 38. But On3 is number 23. Again, where he has 4 stars on On3's website, but he's a 23rd player. So technically he's a 5-star when you look at the numbers. This is a guy that's been to Oklahoma 5 or 6 times, right? Then you look at Texas, they've gotten visited about 4 times, and about 3. Oklahoma has appeared to be the clear front runner in this recruitment for a while. And former teammate Jaden Hardy currently was a part of this last class for Oklahoma. So you look at it and say, okay, If Oklahoma can land Michael Fasusi and Tai Haywood, along with what they already have on the offensive line, which we'll get to here in a second, this is a pretty good offensive line class, if not one of the best offensive line classes in Oklahoma history, and definitely the best that Bill Bedenbaugh has put up since his time at Oklahoma has started. And then you look at some of the current commits they got, right? Owen Hollenbach, a guy who's going to continue to rise through the rankings, former teammates with Nigel Smith. It doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt to land kids out of a school to potentially try to go get another kid in a future cycle out of that school. Hence Denton Geyer, right? 2027 Denton Geyer's got a couple defensive linemen that are going to be top tier. And you got some ties to that school as of it sits right now. Additionally, you look at Ryan Foje, another guy that is committed to the University of Oklahoma, and another guy that has had his stock rise in the recruiting rankings. He's a 4-star with Rivals. He's a 4-star with On3. He's a 3-star with 247, and you would imagine that when 247 gets to their updates, hey, he's going to possibly rise in the rankings. And I mean, we mentioned ESPN's rankings, but do ESPN's rankings really matter? Because they really don't put the time, or at least it doesn't seem like they put the time and effort into the rankings, kind of like a 247 or an On3 does. So, but I mean, either way, they're counted in a lot of these composite. But Ryan Foje is a guy that he's probably going to be a close to top 100 guy by the end of this cycle. If you see his intangibles at 6'5", 275, you see what he does in the weight room, right? Plays track and field. Dominant force in that offensive line. Ryan Foje, if he attends some camps, we really could see Ryan Foje maybe get into the top 100. He could slide right in there. Then you could be talking about Oklahoma and landing not 1, not 2, but 3 top 100 offensive linemen. And it really doesn't stop there. Because a prospect that, quite honestly, I think Oklahoma needs to go out there and land, it's Andrew Babala. 36 total offers across the country. 6'6", 280 pounds. Now, the kicker is he's out of Blue Valley Northwest High School in Overland Park, Kansas. And when I tell you, watch out for the K-States and the Kansas and the Missouris of the world, it's no joke because he's a really big frame. He's got the physical tools to be a great offensive tackle. He finishes great on his blocks, right? Andrew Babaloa, I mean, there could be a desire to stay home. Now, obviously, all of these elite programs across the country are tracing him. Alabama, you have Tennessee, where he recently attended a junior day, right? Georgia's in there. You got the Oklahomas. His services are going to be wanted. It's going to be a hard recruitment. Honestly, if you just land Tai Haywood, Michael Fasusi, you're probably good there. If Andrew wants to come on board, you take him as well. You don't turn him away. So I look at the offensive line situation for Oklahoma, which really has been, I think, the question mark for a lot of Oklahoma fans after this past season. And I'm going to say this, Bill Bedenbaugh does what we expect him to do. I think there's a world where all the Bill Bedenbaugh haters, they have to go hide under a rock. They might be living under that rock for a while because there's a chance that if Bill Bedenbaugh puts Tyler Guyton into the first round this year, he puts another offensive lineman into the NFL in the first round next year as well. 3 straight first-round offensive linemen. And if recruits weren't taking notice now, they'll be taking notice then. So buckle up because the offensive line recruiting in Oklahoma, it's about to get hot. Before we go, make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe button, jump in the comments below, and give me your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think Oklahoma can land one of these 5-star offensive linemen not named Michael Fasusi? Additionally, give me your favorite prospect. Who do you guys want to see Oklahoma go out there and land?